Hi, everyone. Well, actually, no one's here right now. um, I went live just a few minutes early because, as we all know, Courtney's still feeling a bunch of stuff out. Um, my phone is off, so you can't reach me that way. This is where you can reach me. So I'm going to give it just a few minutes. And as I do, for anyone who is new to Stars of the Morning Light, welcome, welcome, welcome. I occasionally go live in case the video might go too long and then you are dealing with uploading and rendering and all that jazz, and I don't like dealing with it. So I go live if the message really does need to be presented. And then I love to be with people that come into the chat room as well. So, but this is always unexpected in a way. Stars of the Morning Light is a complete metaphysical spiritual resource platform. Here on YouTube, I teach from ancient texts. If you go to the website, which I'll put below after all this is said and done, you can get services there, Akashic record readings, life coaching, quantum timeline cleanses. There's quarterly blogs that I put out a lot about self-care and codependency because we all are affected by that. Um, and there's a free meditation podcast that has like over 200 meditations. One of them that I personally think is amazing and did not come from me, let's say, it came from a higher source. Others have experienced, and it's done great results for them. And that is a root chakra cleanse. All you have to do is plug that into a little search in the meditation, root chakra cleanse, and it'll be there for you. So, Stars of the Morning Light is all over the place. Instagram, I just got on TikTok. I have not posted anything for TikTok yet, but I am there. I'm moving right along with the technology. Um, if you are new here, please go back and watch at least the first 3, 4 videos because that's where I'm talking a lot about the inner flame within, the divine spark within, um, how to handle our ego moving forward, all sorts of stuff. So that's always good for the fundamentals, to have a baseline into this stuff. So it is 9 o'clock, so I'm gonna just start. And for anyone who jumps in, I'm happy that you're here. So we are, this is round 2 of cause and effect, the Hermetic principle of cause and effect. What we're doing with the Hermetic principles, because I had asked a lot of people on Instagram, where should I even start teaching? What do people want to know? And a lot of them were saying start with the Hermetic principles, and I said, okay, fine. So everything is under the cap of all is mind because that's the first principle. But what we're doing, because it makes it easier to really wrap your head around all is mind, is we're going from the last principle and we're working our way up, right? Because it makes it easier, to say, oh, all is mind is kind of, that's a lot. But if we work our way back up the principles, it makes a lot more sense. So we are in the principle of cause and effect. The first video, it was probably like a month ago now. It's been kind of a wild time. Um, that was cause and effect through what the Emerald Tablets said happened to Atlantis. Tonight is cause and effect mainly through the Nag Hammadi Scriptures and the Fall of Sophia. The reason I chose that is because I've been doing a lot of videos for a lot of things, different classes of mine, whatnot, a lot of things. And it started getting a little jumbled in here of what have I said where? What have I said where? Not saying I contradict myself, but what, who's getting what information? And it kind of dawned on me that even though I might have spoken about it here, I don't believe I emphasized the power of our words and the power of our intentions. I don't think I did that here. So we're going to do that through the story of the Fall of Sophia from the Nag Hammadi Scriptures and a little bit of the Kabbalion, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about cause and effect, the Hermetic principle. So, there we go. This is how we're spending our Thursday night. So, this is where we're at. Oh, I hate that glare. I hate the glare. I hate it. I'll shrink down to not get the glare. Here, I'll tilt it. There we go. The Kabbalion. I hate the glare. I hate the bright light, the LED, period. The Kabbalion, the Hermetic principles, and we are in the principle of cause and effect. So, to go back to what they say real quick, in the first video, I know I read a little bit from this. We're going to kind of jump towards more of info that they have here to drive home what we're saying today. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to the law of cause and effect. It's not just a principle, this is a law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. There are many outcomes of cause and effect, but nothing escapes it. The Jews even have this thing that there is no word in their culture for chance or coincidence, because it's either God-given or man-driven. They do not have any term for chance or coincidence. And that's what it's saying there. Like, chance is just not really recognized, but it still falls under the law. So we're going to skip a little bit, a few pages into that, because I know I already read from the beginning of that in the Kabbalion. So we're going to go to page 115, still in the principle of law and effect. I mean, cause and effect. Oh, what a Freudian slip that was. Yeah, that law is going to get you. It's going to affect you. So, page 115. The majority of people are carried along like the falling stone, obedient to environment, outside influences, and internal moods, desires, etc. Not to speak of the desires and wills of others stronger than themselves. Thereto their environment and suggestion, carrying them along with resistance on their part or the exercise of will. So when they said at the beginning, the falling of a stone, they give an example, when you set up dice, or you set up books and you set them all up in a nice row, and then you knock one down and all of them go. That's what they're talking about. The majority of people are carried along like the falling stone, obedient to their environment, outside influences, and internal moods, desires, etc. Not to speak of the desires and wills of others stronger than themselves. And I find it very interesting that they say, along without resistance on their part, or the exercise of will. I know that we have talked about the power of our free will. There's an entire video on that. But it's saying the majority of us don't even exercise that. moved like pawns on a checkerboard of life. They play their parts and are laid aside after the game is over. But the masters, the Hermes, the Christ, the Thoth, the master within you, the master within me, the ascended masters, the Buddhas. But the masters, knowing the rules of the game, rise above the plane of material life and placing themselves in touch with the higher powers of their nature, rising above this humanness. Placing themselves in touch with the higher powers of their nature, dominate their own moods, characters, qualities, and polarity, as well as the environment surrounding them, and thus become movers in the game instead of pawns, causes instead of effects. The masters do not escape the causation of the higher planes, but fall in with the lower laws. And thus masters, sorry, I really want to just jump in and start teaching. The masters do not escape the causation of the higher planes, but fall in with the higher laws. And thus masters circumstances on the lower plane. They thus, from a conscious part of law, think of everything is mind, everything is energy. Instead of being mere blind instruments, while they serve on the higher planes, they rule on the material plane. Cause and effect. So we all experience cause and effect. We talked about it in the Emerald Tablets when we did the first video that everything is from the first cause. Creation, let's say, is from the first cause. And it has just been playing itself out and playing itself out and playing itself out. In our individual lives, as we are pawns in the game, we all have that. But when we can get past these material, worldly, 3D aspects within us and get to a higher plane of consciousness, we then become the players and not the pawns, the movers and not the pawns. And I loved how they talked about our will. We don't even recognize our will. And they brought up like our desires and whatnot, because that is what we're going to focus on when we talk about the Fall of Sophia. Yeah. Oh, I love you guys so much. I really do. I love you so, so much. I really do. We are so powerful. We are so, so powerful. You have all the power to, if we have to play the game, then we become movers instead of pawns. And then even as you get higher and higher in consciousness, you're not even on the chessboard anymore. You're not even on the checkerboard anymore. When you really understand all is mind. So, moving forth, the Nag Hammadi Scriptures. These are the Gnostic texts. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm going to try to hold these up without a glare either. Jeez. There we go. There we go. Okay. We had been in this section before, and I can't remember which video it was. I'm kind of just bouncing around the same few books right now. I did go to the resale bookstore a little while ago and got some really great books. I will say I did just recently learn of this thing called Buy Me a Coffee. If you do want to contribute, I will put that link below, because for me, it's buy me a book. Sometimes knowledge is not cheap, and I would like to be able to present you with a ton of material. And I have enough to get us by for a while, but I want to be with you for a long time. So I will have that link below. I would appreciate it. You could become a monthly supporter, I think, for like $5. And what I really liked about them is that they, you don't need to give them all your information, which is awesome. Like, they don't need all that jazz. So, okay. Moving forward, lovely people. Appreciate you. Appreciate you so much. So I'm getting hot. Ooh, I'm getting hot. Maybe I'm getting all worked up. Maybe I'm getting all sorts of worked up. So, Sophia, we are even at that time now that especially since the turn of the 21st century, it has also been referred to as the Rise of Sophia. Well, right now we're going to talk about the Fall of Sophia. Why does she have to rise in the first place? You could see Sophia somewhat like the mother of creation, okay? But there, as we talked in other videos, especially at the beginning, there were the eons, and there were, a lot of other forethoughts, remember, wisdom, great spirit, they were all made. Well, she's a part of that. She's a little bit lower, okay? But she's still, you can see her as who we would call Father Source, because there's actually the true full source. That's not who we talk. That's not who. When we say Father, that's not most of our conceptions. That is not the first and ultimate source. That's down with Sophia. That's kind of down with Sophia. I mean, the ultimate source is that's big. That's real big. So there's levels. Okay, but Sophia would be considered like part of the mother of all creation. Also with the virgin spirit that we talked about in past videos. So I'm trying to get some people up to speed. If you're not understanding any of this, please go back and listen to other videos, because I've decided I'm just going to start going full steam ahead. I'm just going to start coming with it. With that being said, we're going to talk about the fall right now, and why, and the power of our words and intentions, okay, cause and effect, because we're all been living it, and we have the power to change it all up if we choose, not be pawns. And then we're going to go into, after this, the 7 deadly sins, and then we're going to go into the 7 archons, the 7 cycles, the 7 lords of the cycles. We're going to go into all of it. We're going to do 777 until probably 77. So come with me. Be here. Be here whenever you catch me. It doesn't matter to me when you catch me. But hit that like button. That does matter. Oh, I love you guys. And a quick shout out to Cosmic Soul Podcast. I will be interviewing beloved Debbie this Sunday for this channel. If you have not listened to Cosmic Soul Podcast yet, she's lovely. She's delightful. She'll be here Sunday. We're going to do it. How I'm going to upload it and all that jazz, I'll figure it out as I go. And also, if you like what you get here, and I'm not going as fast for you because I'm trying to make it accessible for all, go to Wayne Steiger's page. Actually, I think it's R. Wayne Steiger. I'll put it below. Pretty much the stuff that I do here, he does it. He's got a beautiful community. I love them. And he's for those that are already on this train, already really going and going. So I'm accessible for everyone. I love you all. I'm a part of his tribe. I love what Debbie does with Cosmic Soul Podcast. So quick shout outs. I'll try to put their pages below. And we are going to take a nice deep breath and get into the Fall of Sophia. What did our mother do? Okay. So this is from the Secret Book of John. Yes, John the disciple. Yes, John of Revelations. Yes, that John. This is also his stuff. His stuff that just didn't make it into the Bible. Right. Constantine. We might have to go through that history at some point. Why these beautiful Nagamadi scriptures never even made it in. And why, for some reason, Job, that is Job should be the first book of the Bible, because it is way, way before Noah and all that stuff, is like after Esther. Yeah, that doesn't make any. They were questioning if they should even put it in there, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, maybe just throw it there." And I mean, I somewhat understand why. But yeah. So this is a whole lot of what should have been in the Bible. So we are on page 114, the Nag Hammadi Scriptures, the Secret Book of John. This is the Fall of Sophia. Now, Sophia, who is the wisdom of insight and who constitutes an eon, conceived of a thought from herself, with the conception of the invisible spirit and foreknowledge. Those are eons that we spoke about in other videos. She wanted to bring forth something like herself, like how the Father looked in the pool of the Great Spirit and was like, oh, this is amazing. Let's keep creating more in the image of himself, right? She wanted to do the same thing. She wanted to bring forth something like herself without the consent of the Spirit, who had not given approval, without her partner and without his consideration. She didn't go to the Father and say, hey, I would like to create something in the image of myself as well. May I? The male did not approve. She did not find her partner, and she considered this without the Spirit, that great Spirit, that pool of energy and water and creation. She considered this without the Spirit's consent and without the acknowledgement, without the knowledge of her partner. Nevertheless, she gave birth. And because of the because of the invincible power within her, her thought was not an idle thought. Something came out of her that was imperfect and different in appearance from her. I'm going to hold right there. So she did not get consent from the Great Spirit, let's call it that. She did not get consent from Father, her counterpart. And she had the power of creation within her, as so do we. As so do we. Okay, I just really want to make that clear because that's going to be a whole lot of the message. Something came out of her that was imperfect and different in appearance from her, for she had produced it without her partner. It did not resemble its mother and was mishap. When Sophia saw what her desire had produced, it changed into a figure of a snake with the face of a lion. Its eyes were like flashing bolts of lightning. She cast it away from her, outside that realm, so that none of the immortals would see it. She had produced ignorantly. She surrounded it with a bright cloud and put a throne in the middle of the cloud so that no one would see it except the Holy Spirit, who called the mother of the living. She named her offspring Yoldabath. Yoldabath. I always end up rolling these names. Yoldabath. Just hear me out, because we're going to skip some of this, because that's going to come later when we are talking about Yoldabath's world order. Mishaps, the thing that should never have been created, his world order, when we get to talking about the 7 archons, which is coming after the 7 deadly sins, because it all plays into each other. When I first read this, 2012, 2013, something like that. When I first read this, and I also knew the Bible inside and out by that time. So I knew a lot of the references that were also being made. The thing that I guess was pointed out to me the most was that she had the power to create, which we all do, because we have that divine spark within, because we are creation and manifestation ourselves. We are the great I am, individually and collectively. When I first read this, when it said, when Sophia saw that her desire had produced, or saw what her desire had produced, it changed into the figure of a snake with the face of a lion. I just went, whoa, wait a minute. It's all about that. She didn't bother to ask for consent. She didn't bother to even talk to her counterpart, her partner in creation. She didn't even bother. She just had this deep desire to create something in the likeness of her. This huge, great, deep desire. And out of that desire were her thoughts that just went, yep, I'm going to create that. And because of the invincible power within her, her thought was not an idle thought. Because of the power of creation, because of her invincible power, which we also have, invincible power. That's what we all have. It's what we're living through in this cause and effect. Her thought was not an idle thought, meaning it came into being. And it was driven by her desire. So when I first read that, I went, whoa, 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 Courtney. You might need to start checking your desires, Courtney. You know, we all have these things of desire, but are we checking our motives? Are we checking why? Are we checking if we should? Because if we have this power to create, our thoughts are not idle. They're actually manifesting all the time. I better check what my desires are, because desire is also a very strong word. And it truly, truly will manifest. It will come into fruition. It will be a cause and effect. So we need to check what our desires are. We're going to move. Actually, we're going to hold on for just a moment and talk and go a little deeper into this. Just for some knowledge, just for some words of wisdom. So how does that happen? This cause and effect that we're living in, and how we're just pawns. And how do we become these masters that can rise above the checker game, that can be at least a mover in the game instead of a pawn, right? We're going to look at our words that we speak and our intentions. Intentions can be desire. Intention is anything that is fueling, propelling, pushing forth those thoughts, pushing forth those words. So we have to constantly kind of check our intentions, and we create our own. It's not like our intentions are masters over us, when desire sometimes can feel like it is. Our ego can also feel like it is at sometimes. That it's driving the car instead of us. Desire can have that same power. Her desire made her not even check with the source of all creation to say, hey, can I do this? And it created mishap. And we're going to learn as we go along. That mishap created a whole lot of issues for us as far as cause and effect goes. His world order, his 7 archons, based out of just her desire. This all went down because she didn't check herself. Right? Same happens with us, though. So let's just talk about our words for a minute. How powerful is our words? Very, very, very powerful. In the occult, there's also, they refer to it as the voice, having a voice. Some people are gifted with the voice. It's a special gift, but we all have that. We all have the power to create things just by what we're saying. We are all able to start the chain reaction of cause and effect just by the words. And many of us don't even know it. Many of us just walk around spewing whatever, right? Example that I'm sure all of you can relate to. So I saw this nonstop in my early 20s. Let's say a couple breaks up. This is just a general example. A couple breaks up, right? The female is not happy. She did not want to break up. And within a week, the guy's with somebody else. And she's seeing him out at the same bars, this and that. She is running her mouth. She is running her mouth because she's in pain. But she's not stopping to think of the words that she's saying. She's running her mouth about him, about the new girl, about this and that. She's just running her mouth. Time passes. She's not even running her mouth anymore. But then all of a sudden, her life goes to hell. Like so much negativity comes back on her. That is the law of 3, mixed with the law of cause and effect. The law of 3 in any occult world, and most of you know, and this is not the same as the power of 3. There's the law of 3 and there's the power of 3. But the law of 3 says if we do harm unto others, it will come back onto us threefold. That's the law of 3. It goes the same with our words because we are actually casting spells when we are speaking. That's why it's referred to as spelling, because we are casting spells. So this poor young girl who's hurting, just running her mouth running her mouth to everybody and anybody who's going to listen, right? Talking mad smack all over the place. It came back on her unintentionally because she does not understand the power of her words. She does not understand that talking that way about other people actually brought it back on her. We don't understand how powerful our mouth is. You know, our tongue muscle is the strongest muscle in the whole body. It's because our words have a lot of power. They need a strong muscle there backing them. It goes for everything. When we speak, we have to become conscious of what we are speaking, because it will begin or continue a chain reaction of cause and effect. And God forbid the law of three come into play and bring harm back onto us. It's all energy. So, okay, so you're thinking, those are my words. We have to become conscious of what we say. But remember now, Sophia, it was her thought that was not idle and created mishap. Our thoughts are just as important. Now, I'm not going to say every bad thought you have in your mind is going to happen, but many of us spend a very long time period with negative thoughts in our brain. And that will just continue the negativity. If you're telling yourself in your head, oh, I'm so tired, you're going to be tired. If you tell yourself, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not going to be able to achieve this, you're not going to be able to achieve it. And I know this is simple for people to understand, but it's really actually profound, because then you put your intentions there. Your intentions are all what is going to fuel the energy that is projected out of you and bring the energy back to you. So if you set your intentions to have a great day in the morning, you're going to have a great day. Even if something happens, even if somewhere on the checkerboard, some pawn hits your car, or some pawn, doesn't get your order right when you go to the restaurant. Whatever it is, something's probably going to happen. That's because of their cause and effect. But because you set the intention, I'm going to have a good day, you're going to have a good day. Because it's a part of our thoughts now. Our thoughts become words, and words become things. Our thoughts also become things, regardless if there's words or not, because there's the intention there. Because our thoughts are not idle. Our thoughts are living. Our thoughts are energy. Our thoughts are manifesting all the time, which we talked about in the manifestation video. Go back and watch it. So, our thoughts aren't idle. We have to really pay attention to our desires. If we receive these desires, like that girl at the bar, who her desire was to really not feel pain anymore, but it was to get back at them, right? I'm going to get back at you. That ended up not working out so well, now did it? It came back on her. When really she just needed to work through the pain of the breakup. I use that example because it works in both ways, words and intentions. Her intentions, she thought, was to get back at him. Just talk mad smack about him all the time. To everybody, just ruin their life. That was her intention. It came back on her. You see what I'm saying? We've all had these examples in our lives, regardless of what type of example you might use. We have those examples. So to become masters, that's the first, man, that is some of the first level stuff. We can control our cause and effect in our life, the life around us, and then the vast community, global life through the law of cause and effect, because there is no coincidence, via our intentions and our words. Because our thoughts are not idle. We're manifesting and creating all the time. And our words are creation. Creating either through cause and effect or creating in all energy. It's what's happening. So that is the first level of basic mastery training. Check your words, become conscious of them, start working on these thoughts. You are so worthy. You are so powerful. You are the great I am. Start working on these thoughts. And with that, we're going to jump a whole lot of her mishap because we're going to be coming back to it later. And we're going to go to Sophia repents. Then the mother began to move around. She realized that she was lacking something when the brightness of her light diminished. One of the very first videos when we talked about 3D. That is what we all feel like we're going through all the time. The deficiency, the lack. It's just because we're experiencing 3D. We can master above it. She grew dim because her partner did not collaborate with her. I said, and this is like John is talking, I said, Lord, what does it mean that she moved around? The Lord laughed and said, do not suppose that it is as Moses said, above the waters. So the Lord that John is talking to, that they did not put in the Bible, said, do not think that this has anything to do with when Moses was talking about moving above the waters. Like, this is not what he was talking about. No. When she recognized the wickedness that had taken place and the robbery her son had committed, she repented because he decided to say, I am the great I am. There's no God above me. I am the God. It's going to sound real similar when we get into it to another God somewhere else. And he created the archons, the 7 archons of just bad. He is the world order as we know. So her light then diminished and she's moving around, and they use the word agitated here because she saw that she created the cause that then started all these effects that are affecting the first atom. Actually, the second atom, but causing us, giving us grief. No. When she recognized the wickedness that had taken place and the robbery her son committed, she repented. When she became forgetful in the darkness of ignorance, please go back to the first video of 3D. She began to be ashamed. She did not dare to return, but she was agitated. This agitation is moving around. Don't we all do that? when we're agitated and we don't even know which end is up, don't we just, like, you end up, you're moving around crazy, you can't stop, like, I'm gonna move this here, I'm gonna do that. Most people have a moment of that when it's like extreme panic, because she's extremely panicking. I just created, out of my pure desire, something that is destroying what is going to destroy this world. Right. She's freaking out, people. She's freaking out. So, and she became forgetful in the darkness of ignorance. So remember, forgetful, forgetting of the Father, forgetting of the source, in the darkness, in the fog of 3D. She's experiencing that right now, because why? Her crappy creation is creating it. The arrogant one, which is also what we refer to him, took power from his mother. He was ignorant, for he thought no one existed except his mother alone. When he saw the throne of angels he had created, he exalted himself over them. When the mother realized that the trappings of the darkness had come into being imperfectly, she understood that her partner had not collaborated with her. She repented with many tears. The whole realm of fullness heard her prayer of repentance and offered praise on her behalf to the invisible Virgin Spirit, and the Spirit consented. When the invisible Spirit consented, the Holy Spirit poured upon her some of the fullness of the all. They were trying to give her compassion. For her partner did not come to her on his own, but he came to her through the realm of fullness, so that he might restore what she lacked. Oh. She was taken up not to her own eternal realm, but instead to a position above her son. She was to remain in the ninth heaven until she restored what was lacking in herself. So we are in that time that they call the Rise of Sophia. Because what we are doing is we are stepping out of the darkness. We're awakening, right? To the light, to how to be masters ourselves, how to ascend from this 3D horrible forgetfulness, fog, BS. She was to remain in the ninth heaven until she restored what was lacking in herself. That is how we move up to. And it starts here. It starts here, and it starts here. It starts with our thoughts, starts with our words. So we can not only change the cause and effect, because it's a law. It's going to be present. There's laws of the cosmos. It's Toth says, order and balance is the law of the cosmos. When Hermes uses cause and effect are the laws of the cosmos. It's the same jazz, man. It's the same thing. So we, though, can take that law and we can change it. We can become the movers instead of the pawns. We can actually make the ones that are the movers right now, make them the pawns. And then we will all slowly be restoring what we are lacking in ourselves. So the rise of Sophia is upon us. We have the ability to change cause and effect. Let's check our desires. And definitely, my beloveds, work on becoming very conscious of our words and conscious of knowing how we want to use our intentions appropriately. Don't let our desires create mishaps. I love you all so much. I'm so happy that I could be here and be with you and just be with you. We are going to move forth with the 7 deadly sins, still moving within this stuff, but it's because we're also going to relate it to those ridiculous archons that seem to want to mess up our lives. So, beautifuls, my beloveds, we're about to get real deep into this, but I wanted to make sure that that message of checking your words and intentions, starting to see how that plays out in cause and effect in your life in a positive way. If we start seeing it, and we can see the manifestations that we are creating, that builds trust within ourselves, trust with us and the cosmos, and it builds our knowing of the power within us that we can make a difference, we can change it up. So, blessed be to all of you. Have a lovely weekend. Sunday, like I said, Cosmic Soul Podcast should be up by that evening. Come visit. Love you all.